But with the engagement objective, you get the added bonus that you're going to get in front of people who are more likely to like, comment, and share on your ad. And social proof is just absolute fuel for the algorithm. What's up, everybody? Alvaro here from Alvaro Barrios Digital, and today is part 3 of my video series on demystifying the various Facebook ad objectives. And today we are talking about 2 of them, actually, the engagement objective and the video views objectives. So why am I talking about 2 objectives in this one as opposed to 1 like I have in my other ones? Well, the reason for that is because oftentimes these 2 objectives are actually used interchangeably for the same purpose. So I will definitely dive down into that a little bit more deeply and let you know when you should be using one over the other depending on your specific goal. Now, when you're creating your campaign to use either engagement or video views, depending on the interface that you currently have for your Facebook Ads Manager, you're either going to find it in the consideration column, as you can see here in this example, or you're going to find it in the awareness or engagement options for the other interface that some people have. So a little bit confusing, but want to make sure that everyone, regardless of what interface that you have, you're able to see where you can create these objectives. Now, if you select the engagement objective, there's actually some sub objectives to that you can select. You can either choose page likes, engagement, or event responses. So let me quickly get those out of the way before I start covering the main scenarios in where I like to use engagement and video views. So for engagement specifically, and those sub-objectives that it has, you want to use page likes when, guess what? You want to get more likes to your Facebook page. That should be pretty clear right there. Now, for event responses, that is when you have created an event on Facebook. There's an event page, and you want people to mark that, yes, I am going to the event. Therefore, that is when you want to use the event responses campaign. Now, in both scenarios, I don't really use those sub-objectives too often. I'm not a huge fan of running page like campaigns. At the end of the day, they're not really genuine page likes. They're not going to be people who are truly fans of yours. So, if you just want to make it look like nobody likes your page and get to a couple hundred likes, I think that's fine. But I wouldn't use it as a legitimate audience building strategy. And then for event responses, I'm also not a huge fan of using that objective for an actual event page that's on Facebook, simply because all it does is that it gets people to say, yes, I'm going, even if they're not actually going, right? So anyone can just click on the button to say that they're actually going and then just choose not to show up. So it's kind of a little bit of a fake metric in my mind. So just quickly wanted to get those out of the way right there. Now let's move on to the actual engagement and video views objective. So oftentimes these 2 are used interchangeably. Now, whether you have one interface where it's under the consideration phase or another interface where it's either under awareness or engagement, really what I want you to think of for this is that they are audience building objectives, meaning these are ads that you're going to run, and in most scenarios, 99.9% of them, you're not going to be sending them to a website. You're keeping them on Facebook, and so you're going to use these as ways to let people know who you are, what you're all about, maybe how you're different, so on and so forth. That way they can get their foot in the door of your entire brand, and then you can retarget them later with different types of ads and offers. So that's kind of how you want to think of it, as an audience building campaign. So when do you use engagement versus video views? Well, there's a couple of things that you want to be thinking about in these scenarios. Now, if you're using the engagement objective on an ad that is either an image or a carousel, then you always want to use engagement. There is no, I don't even know if Facebook even lets you use the video views objective using an image or a carousel. So in that case, it's pretty obvious, right? If it's just some sort of post where you're talking about your company or some of your beliefs, or just trying to debunk certain myths inside of your industry, and there's just an image inside of the ad, then yes, you want to use engagement. Video views is going to be absolutely pointless in that scenario. But what if you are running a video, right? Are you going to be using the video views objective, or are you going to be using the engagement objective? Now, in most scenarios, I like to use the engagement objective, and here's why. When you look at your cost per through play, and Facebook defines cost per through play as a 15-second view, it's going to be very similar to using the video views objective. So maybe with your video views objective, I'm just making numbers up, you're getting 5 cents per through play, and for the same exact video using the engagement objective, you could potentially experience 6 to 7 cents per through play. So yes, a little bit more expensive, but when we're talking about pennies, right, it's not that big of a deal. But with the engagement objective, you get the added bonus that you're going to get in front of people who are more likely to like, comment, and share on your ad. And social proof is just absolute fuel for the algorithm. It's also just good for your reputation. If people are scrolling and they see that there's an ad that a bunch of people are commenting on, liking, and sharing, right, they're gonna wanna stop and read it more so too. Whereas with the video views objective, the algorithm is going to optimize for people who are more likely to watch a video rather than comment and share. So even though the video views are a little bit more expensive, or through plays, I should say, I don't wanna get terms confusing here, even though through plays are slightly more expensive with engagement, I do like the added benefit of building that social proof through likes, comments, and shares. Now, in both these scenarios, right, you'd be running these types of ads, again, to build your audience, and you can create audiences of people who are watching your video. So if you have a 2-minute video, regardless of whether or not you're using the engagement or video views objective, you can then create audiences of people who are watching that video, 25%, 50%, 75%, all the way up to 95%. And that's really the whole point here that you're doing. You're building up that audience. That way you can retarget them later with a different offer. Now, that's not to say that you should never ever use the video views objective. If you have a video where you have a very specific call to action or request at the very end of it, like, hey, let me know in the comments below, or, you know, if you stay until the end of this video, I'm going to give you my free, you know, whatever, just by going to this link that I'll only reveal at the very end, etc., etc. Then in those cases, I actually would use the video views objective over the engagement objective, because there you have a slightly higher goal there of just getting people to watch a video, right? You're getting people to watch the video and hopefully take a very specific action towards the end. So in those circumstances, like I said, the algorithm will actually get in front of people who are more likely to watch, and then you'll get people who will watch the video for a longer period of time. Now, in terms of your video metrics inside of your Facebook ads dashboard, you're going to be able to see people who have watched it for 15 seconds, that's your through play, and then, like I said, 25%, 50%, 75%, all the way up to 95%. And then it's good to measure your video retention. Facebook does not give you a calculated video retention metric inside of the dashboard, so you're gonna have to calculate this yourself, but it is always good to see, out of the people who made it to 15 seconds, what percentage of them made it to 25, what percent of them also made it to 50, 75, so on and so forth. That's a really good way to measure the true success of what video is actually performing the best and what video is actually getting people to watch the longest. Because the longer someone watches, then the more qualified they're going to be. And that gets to my next point. Before I get to my next point though, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It lets me know if you are enjoying this type of content, and it also helps promote the channel. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to hit subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss any of the remaining videos I release in this series. So to my very last point, it is definitely engagement and video views, quality versus quantity, right? So you can easily put together a 15-second video and run that using either engagement or video views, and you're gonna get a ton of people, quote unquote, built into your audience. Cool, yeah, that's true, but is a 15-second video really going to properly introduce people into your world and your brand and what you stand for, all that kind of stuff? In my mind, no. I'd rather create a longer video, let's say something that's at least 90 seconds long, but I'm okay with going all the way up to, you know, 8-9 minutes around there. I typically wouldn't go beyond 10 minutes, but it's certainly a quality versus quantity, because if you have, let's just say, a 4-minute video and you have 1,000 people that have watched at least 75% of that 4-minute video, those 1,000 people are going to be very qualified for you to retarget to later. And the same also goes for just a ad with an image and text, right? So in this case, going back to what I said earlier, you want to use the engagement in this scenario because there's no point in using video views on an image ad. But yes, same thing. You can do an image ad with 2 lines of text and run it as an engagement ad, and you're gonna get a gazillion engagements and so on and so forth. But if you only have 2 lines of text, then who cares, right? Those people who are actually reading it aren't going to be super qualified. But if you're running an ad that's 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 1,000 words long, and you're using the engagement objective, those people who engage engage with that ad are going to be highly more qualified than the people who engage with a shorter ad. Yes, for the longer video, and yes, for the longer copy image ad, your costs are going to be slightly more expensive. But again, this is about quality and not quantity. So always keep that in mind when you're using either one of these objectives. So hopefully this video made sense to you. But if you have any other comments on when to use either one of these objectives, let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer that question for you. Here's 2 more videos for you to check out. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.